What's up, guys? This is Mark and Honey, and you're listening to WPPM 106.5 FM, People Power Lunch Hour, New Forward Edition.
You guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
What's up, guys? This is Mark and Hottie, and you're listening to WPPM 106.5 FM, People Power Lunch Hour, Youth Takeover Edition. You can also catch us live on TV or phillycam.org. So, Hottie, what do we have today?
We have a great show today. First, we're going to be talking about movies and TV. Then we're going to do an interview with Kenneth and Nasir from the Big Picture Alliance. After that, we'll be talking about video games and getting a little tilted as we discuss what makes us Angry Birds. And then we'll close off with a little treat. Gianna Marie Matthews, a talented performer, and everything's based in Philadelphia. So let's get started with our first segment, Into the Cable Box. So, Mark, I hear you're into Game of Thrones. Tell me something about that.
It's a very in-depth show. It deals with a lot of fantasy lore and kings fighting each other type stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess one of my favorite characters in the show is Jon Snow, and he's basically a character that in the first season wasn't very promised to be good, but then later he just kind of built himself up to become this great character in season 7.
Mm-hmm. Right. I've never watched Game of Thrones before, but my brothers watch it, and I just see so much stuff about it that even though I've never watched it, I know that I can personally identify with Daenerys Stormborn. Even though I have no idea who she is or what she does, I know she's the breaker of chains and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's pretty interesting. She's this queen that was supposed to rule Westeros or whatever, and basically her father, who's called the Mad King, he was killed, and before the season started, and so then she coming back from across the sea to take over the crown again, and so that's basically the whole different season is just her build up of coming over to Westeros, and now in season 7 she's finally made it there. So it's it's very climactic, and all the main characters are finally together. So it's very interesting.
So would you recommend Game of Thrones?
Yeah, definitely.
What would you rate it from 1 to 10?
A 10. It's my favorite show that's come out ever.
All right. I'm glad to know you like it. I might give it a watch. All right, so let's move on. Another show I want to talk about is Shadowhunters, which is a show based off of the book series The Mortal Instruments. Have you heard of it?
No, actually. But can you tell me about it?
Sure. So the Shadowhunters, there are 2 seasons out right now, and it's about basically this girl named Clary, and she's a normal girl living in New York City, and then she finds out that she's a shadow hunter, which means that she kills demons and stuff like that. And her mom tried to keep it hidden from her, but she ended up finding out on her own. And now she's with all these other shadow hunters and demons, and she has a brother that she never knew about who may or may not actually be her brother, and it's really crazy.
I think I do know what you're talking about, because I have a friend that was reading this book before, and they was trying to tell me about it, but I was I don't know if I want to read it or not. But who's your favorite character?
My favorite character is Magnus Bane. He's a warlock, mainly because I've always been into magic and stuff like that, and he's kind of I don't know. He's just great. He's been alive for 900 years, so he has all this wisdom, but he looks like he's 20.
Okay.
So he appeals to the younger.
So you said they hunt demons and stuff?
Yeah, they their job as shadow hunters are to hunt demons and protect mundanes, which are muggles, humans.
Okay.
And then I don't know, when demon attacks happen, they try to stop it, and it's awesome.
So is it a drama
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries or something?
Oh, I've never watched that,
Okay.
so I can't really compare them. But it reminds me of Harry Potter,
Okay.
except I don't know, Harry Potter's cooler to me.
Okay.
But I like Shadowhunters. I would rate it a solid 8 out of 10. And I would
Not a
recommend
10?
I mean, it could be better. The acting in the first season was kind of off. Clary, the main character, Like whenever she would cry, I would just be like, oh my god, she's so overdramatic.
Oh, okay.
Like
see
I
what
never
you
really
mean.
believed her. But anyway, let's move on.
All right. Well, that was nice. How do you think about the new Alien Covenant that just came out?
um, I I've seen the trailers and I think it looks pretty awesome.
Well, I've seen like a lot of like the series,
Mhm.
and I kind of like the direction that they're going because they basically the director I think is Ridley Scott. I mean, not Ridley Scott.
Mhm.
What's his name? Anyways, basically, he's trying to like take over the series again, and he's starting it over with a new story and basically how the aliens came about. And I remember like in the first movie, you know, it was all about the alien. Like nobody knew anything about it or where it came from. It was like shrouded in mystery. And I think in the new one, the director he's trying to like take over the lore again,
Mhm.
and then trying to show us as the audience where they come from. And I like it. You know, there's definitely certain things they could do better. Like I don't really like exactly where they came from. Basically, if you ever seen Prometheus, the android that was in Prometheus, he basically created the aliens. He kind of like went crazy and started like trying to manipulate the human genome with this like black goo or whatever.
Yeah,
Basically, like
I've seen it.
it changes your body and makes like a parasite grow inside of you, which is basically the aliens. But like
Mhm.
I don't know if I would like that route. Like I always when I first seen the Alien series, I always liked the idea that they were like some type of alien that no one's ever seen before that have like a hive and, you know, breed and all that type of stuff. Like
Yeah.
I like that idea that it was like natural. But now that it's kind of like artificial, I don't know. It's still cool to me and I'll still follow it, but I don't know. I wish the direction was a little different.
How long have you been watching?
Since I was a little kid, like I wasn't actually supposed to see the movie.
Yeah, I had a
Like my
feeling.
my dad, like he always shows me certain stuff that I wasn't supposed to see, like or like rated R or whatever. But like I wasn't scared when I saw it. I like really liked it. And I remember they used to do like this crossover with Aliens versus Predators. I don't know if you ever seen that
Yeah,
series before. And so basically like also that's what the director is trying to change. He's trying to like make it like separate, you know, so
from
now
Predator.
like the predators are no longer part of the alien lore anymore,
Mm.
which I didn't like either cuz like growing up watching the movies I always liked that idea of like two different species like clashing and
Yeah.
fighting each other. But yeah, they kind of changed that. And so I just been watching it for like years.
Well, going back to the thing about like crossovers, do you think that like what do you think about like him trying to like separate from Predator? Like I know you said you didn't like it, but like why do you think you'd be trying to do that?
Well, like I've seen a couple like interviews and he just didn't like the direction because basically he wasn't directing any of those movies. Like that was
Yeah.
just somebody else who put their own idea into it. And so he's trying to like I guess this wasn't part of his original idea. He didn't like want Predators to be part of the universe.
Mhm.
So I guess he just wants to take it back and change it and that's fine because it was his idea. So he can
Yeah.
do whatever he wants.
I guess that makes sense. If it's his story, he should have the final say.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you rate the series?
Um, well, the first movie was, I think it was like the best. Like just in everything that they did, he really did a good job shooting it and like giving the idea of being afraid.
Mhm.
A lot of the other movies aren't as good. Like especially like the third Alien that came out, they kind of went like it was a very weird, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like that one. So like as a whole, the series I would at least like give it a 7. But now that they're like restarting it, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
the newest movie that came out, I would give that one a 7. Like it could have been better,
Yeah.
you know. But it was okay. And but like I guess whatever they're like continuing with the story, we'll just have to wait and see. But I like the direction that he's going, but I would like to still have like the predators in it and that this robot didn't like create the aliens.
Oh yeah. That's cool. All right. So do you wanna move on?
Yeah. So you told me a lot about West Side Story, right?
Yeah. So yesterday I remember we were talking and we were talking about some musicals, like not like High School Musical or whatever, but like classics, like Little Shop of Horrors and West Side Story.
Right.
So, Little Shop of Horrors, my school recently did like a version of it, and I've never seen it before that. Like I auditioned for it, so I had to watch it, but then like I never actually like saw it in person. And when I did see it, it was like really good. Like The plot kind of made no sense, but like it made sense, but like it was kind of bad, like cheesy. But this thing, the songs were really good. Like the idea, like the whole idea behind Little Shop of Horrors is that like this guy finds a plant and he tries to use it to save his boss's business. But then it turns out like it drinks blood, and then like eventually it gets so big that it stops drinking blood and starts eating people.
Okay.
And the whole idea is like people over profit. Like I guess it was supposed to be a satire, like how like you literally kill yourself and other people just to make your business big. Like not literally, but like to an extent. Like you do whatever it takes to make your business grow. And it's supposed to be like that's not how it's supposed to be. It should be like, you know, people are more important than profit, you know.
So like, who made the plant?
It was like there was a whole song about it. Apparently there was a total eclipse of the sun, and then it just appeared at a Chinese guy's like floral shop.
It
Or
just appeared.
it just appeared. It came down from the sky, and he bought it for like $275 or something.
Okay.
And then it got big, and like people started paying to see it. Like the plot didn't make sense because like I remember the boss was like, you can't just put a strange and interesting plant in the window and expect people to come in. And then somebody came in and was like, wow, I love that strange and interesting plant in the window. I want to buy $100 of roses. And I was like, wouldn't you just buy the plant? Like, why would you buy roses if you like the plant?
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really make sense.
Okay. So you were talking about West Side Story yesterday too.
Right. So West Side Story is another classic musical that like was under a lot of fire because like it was like a Puerto Rican versus like white like gang thing. Like Puerto Ricans were the sharks and the whites were the jets. And like apparently the Puerto Ricans were just like white people with like blackface on.
Oh.
That's what I
okay.
heard. And like it was apparently not like a good thing to air. But I mean, like the story behind it is just like, you know, classic Romeo and Juliet, like someone from the Jets, like someone from the Sharks, and then like, you know, it's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to stick to your own kind. But it's just what happened. And then like there was like death and like songs, and like it was a mess. Honestly.
I remember I did see it like a few years ago. I don't really remember a lot about it, but like didn't like the main character die or whatever?
Yeah, the main character, the guy main character killed the girl's like friend's main character's boyfriend or something like that. And then the girl that he liked, the boy that liked her killed him because he was trying to steal his girl.
Okay.
So, and then like I don't know, he ended up dying. And then she was like she was like going crazy. And then like I think they got along at the end. I don't know, I watched it last year.
So like, how do you feel about when certain when like certain groups like movies people make movies or whatever and they like change up the race and stuff and
Well, that's a whole like another topic of representation in
Right.
media. I don't think we have time for that. I could go on and on and on.
yeah, well, we can talk forever about this, but it's time for our next segment. So if you want to stick around for the interview with Kenneth and Nasir from Big Pictures, please. And this is Mark and Heidi on WPPM 106.5 FM. Youth Takeover. Stick around.
Welcome back to People Power Lunch Hour Youth Takeover on WPPM 106.5 FM. You can catch us live on PhillyCam TV or phillycam.org. If you're just tuning in, I'm Hattie and this is Mark, and we're about to interview Kenneth Wynn and Nasir Scott from Big Picture Alliance, a youth media program designed to help young media makers expand on their skills in acting, editing, directing, and producing. This year, their topic was Finding Yourself, and they put on a film screening, which I went to, and it was absolutely fantastic. So let's welcome Nasir and Kenneth.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
What's up? How you doing, guys?
Good, how are you?
So
wait.
I have a question for the both of you, and it's what kind of media arts program does Picture Alliance have? Do you have any ideas on that?
I would let Nasir Scott address that question first.
Wow,
Okay.
put me on the spot. What type of media arts program?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that? a
So
little?
what do they have when it comes to videos and music and TV,
Mhm.
film?
Not sure how to answer that question.
Well, how do you feel about film and
Well, the types of programs that they have, I don't know. It's they just let us do whatever type of topic that we want to do.
so you just kind of create your own content?
Yeah, we create our
basically.
own content, and then they approve of it. We write the scripts and everything, and then we just go out and film it.
Okay.
So were you an actor, an editor?
I was the editor. I'm usually a director, but I was mostly an editor for this program.
And you were
I was primarily the actor as well as the writer.
Okay.
So what got you interested in filmmaking?
What piqued my interest was back when I was in 10th grade. I had a film program at my school, and then he introduced me to WHYY TV studios, and then I started going there to the after-school program, and then we were making short films and short narratives and editing, writing scripts, storyboards, treatments, and all that stuff, and then that's where it started. And then I just started getting to more programs, directing TV shows for PSTV for the school district, and doing a commercial for the Navy and other things.
Okay.
Interesting. And you?
In terms of filmmaking, in terms of acting, I feel as if I've always had the passion. I remember when I was younger, my dad, we didn't have cable, so all we watched constantly was the first two Rush Hour movies. And so that really piqued my interest in becoming Jackie Chan and acting in movies and doing actions. And then I realized, I can't really jump like Jackie Chan. I'm not that acrobatic. But what piqued my interest and that made me want to join this program was during in my AP English class, we had this skit. It was based off this book Beloved, if anyone has ever heard of it. And I played the main character, which was a female. And her name was Setha. So I played this role of Setha, which is no spoilers, but a person who's been through some things. And apparently I got 136 out of 100, and so my teacher just praised me, and I was like, hey, maybe I should try this out. And then he recommended this program. Then the rest is history, and now I'm here.
Cool.
So, what's the most difficult part of filmmaking so far?
The most difficult part of filmmaking, writing scripts and coming up with a good story and a good topic that's going to intrigue the audience and that's going to entertain them.
So, what do you do to get your idea?
Well, we just worked in a big group,
Okay.
and then everybody was just spitballing ideas. Does this work? Does this work? Then we start combining ideas, and then we just came up with something that works.
So you said you were mainly the director, right? So did you
Director, editor, yeah.
Okay. So did you oversee most of the things, make sure it came together properly?
If we're talking about Big Picture Alliance,
Yes.
they put me as the editor, but I was working with the director, and basically we were just making sure that everything was on point. Everybody was doing their assignment and making sure what they needed to do was getting done.
Okay. So what's the hardest part for you then?
I think it's subjective, to each their own. Some people really enjoy writing, such as me. Some people hate editing, such as me. So as you can tell, the most difficult part for me would be editing. Yeah. So some people find their biggest difficulty it's subjective. But for me, it was editing because I do not know like a lick of like technology.
Mhm.
So that's why it was funny. In our personal films, I wrote the whole thing, but I let Nasir edit the whole thing as long as he gets the credits. So it's just it depends on the person. But I also agree with Nasir and like the writing of the ideas. That's pretty hard. But yeah.
Going back to what Nasir said, how do you like decide what ideas get implemented and which ones don't?
It's just a team effort. You know, we see what everybody agrees on,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just start writing things down. And then if everybody agrees on these topics, then that's what we implement to the film.
Have you ever had a situation where like nobody was agreeing on anything?
Yes, and
What'd you do?
we started from scratch.
Oh,
We
okay.
we created a totally new idea, and we went from there.
Interesting. So we just talked about the most difficult part. So what is your favorite part about filmmaking?
My favorite part about filmmaking is directing.
Directing? Like
Yeah,
what specifically?
it comes natural. What specifically? Just getting the shots out that I want,
Mm-hmm.
making my shot list, telling the director of photography, do this, 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 and after that, I would say it's editing. I mean, I'm a person that I like to direct and edit, so then, like my vision, it
Mhm.
comes together.
I get that.
Yeah.
So those two are my favorite parts.
Okay.
For me, it has to be definitely acting. I just really enjoy just conveying like the emotion of the character, becoming the character, and just yeah. Then my second part would also be writing because I like genuinely just love writing. I feel like writing is just like a canvas of just putting your heart and soul into it. And so in being able to write your own film and having all characters and emotions, that's that's beautiful.
So, what are the type of projects that you've done in Big Picture Alliance so far?
Okay. So we have three projects. One is like a museum report where we do like a 3 minute short film, and like the setting has to be within the museum. Then the second one is a personal film. So we choose whatever we want to talk about, and the limit
That's
is
to relate to us, though.
yeah, personal. It has to be around like 4 to 5 minutes. Then there's the group. Then there's the big film, which is the group film, and we are so. The museum report we're split into two. It's a duo. It's a duo effort. The personal film you can have other people in it, but it's mainly you writing it and editing it. Then there's the group film, which is you're split into a group of 8 or so people, and then you come up with the idea. You just come up with the idea, directing, who's going to be the editor, the actors. You combine all those together, and then you create the film.
Okay.
And you guys were in the same group film, right? Or were you just?
No, we were in different group films. We were in the same museum report.
Do you want to talk about your group films? Because I saw them. I
My
really
group
like them.
film. Do you want me to spoil it, like get into detail?
And do you want to?
I mean, I can.
Okay.
So
Okay.
basically,
Yeah.
it's about a group of friends. It was a group of 5 friends,
Right.
and
What's it called?
it's called White Ribbon.
White Ribbon.
I almost forgot for a second. So it's a group of 5 friends. For some reason, they made me the main character. I don't know why. So it's a group of friends that were best friends in high school,
Mhm.
and then after they graduated, they all went their separate ways.
Right.
And then Tyrone, which is my character, which is the main character, he has cancer, lung cancer, and he's going to die soon.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to gather all of his friends together for a reunion so he can see them one last time. And then when he gathers them, like they're all doing their own thing, and then there's an argument happens between two of the other characters, and Tyrone eventually tells them that he has cancer. They all come together, they stop arguing, and they're there for him, and then he dies.
All right.
I mean,
Oh,
because
Spoiler.
we didn't have that much time to put any more else into the film because we had to do reshoots. There were continuity errors, etc.
So
Okay.
like the message of that would be like anything can bring a group of friends together.
Yeah, basically.
So, what did you do?
So our film was called 559, and it all starts out with two couples. One couple, which is with me and my friend Genesis. I played a man who also had cancer. So, and then we find out later on, and then the other couple is a lesbian couple who's also pregnant, and so that's like the reason why she's pregnant is up to like it's like from her past, but it's not really explained. And so when I find out I have cancer, at the same time I find out that my wife is also pregnant. So it's like a theme where like you like when you're pregnant you have 9 months to give birth, and the doctor says cancer I have like 9 months to live. So as I go on like the cycle of like cancer, I find out that I'm free. I'm free
You
from
don't.
cancer, but then my baby is stillborn. So we're stuck in like a very sad point. Like the couple's like, what do we do? Then the lesbian couple decides to give the baby that they already had to to us, and that's how it ends.
And what's like the message of that story?
Well, in the first couple, it shows like the resiliency of love. How like the first couple, she went through a stillborn baby and cancer. However, their love was still intact, and so it just showed how love can trump all like all bad situations.
Mm-hmm.
All
Interesting.
right. So how were you like introduced again to Big Picture Alliance?
The people that I knew at WHYY, they told me about it. They told me to apply, and so I applied, and then I went to the interview, and then they hired me.
Cool.
Okay, and then
How are you
did
interested?
So as I said before about the beloved skit, afterwards my teacher just adamantly like encouraged me to apply to this program. Admittedly, I did procrastinate for like a whole month, but then he kept on urging me, and I decided, well, maybe I can give this a shot. And I applied, the interview process, and yeah.
Well,
Great.
thank you so much, guys, Kenneth and Nasir, right,
Yes.
for coming in. It was very insightful to hear about Big Picture Alliance. And after the break, stay tuned because we're gonna have some gaming community talks and then a little rant at the end. And then we're gonna have some music in the studio with Gianna Maria. So stay tuned. This is Mark and Hadi on WPPM 106.5 FM.
Welcome back to WPPM 106.5 FM People Power Lunch Hour Youth Takeover Edition with Hattie and Mark. You can you can catch us on the radio, on PhillyCam TV station, or online at phillycam.org. We're now going to be talking about video games, and afterwards we'll have a little rant about what makes us Angry Birds, and after that we'll have Gianna Marie filling the studio with music. But for now, let's talk about gaming and how it's transformed for the better or for the worse. This is From Atari to Xbox, a transformation in gaming. So, Mark, I hear you're a gamer.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I play the games like hours sometimes, and like sometimes it like takes control of my day, you know,
Yeah.
and then I get in trouble.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
can definitely relate to that. So, do you want to start with, let's start with something that all gamers can relate to.
so okay, how do you feel about multiplayer online gaming?
So, like when gaming first came out, since we're talking about the transformation in gaming, when gaming first came out, playing with your friends was never really like a thing. Like if you wanted to play with them, you would need to like pass the controller or pass the joystick.
Mm-hmm.
But now with like, changes in technology and like, advances, we can now play through like different rooms. But like everybody knows that. Getting into like the interesting part. So a game that I play all the time, and I know you play too, is League of Legends.
Yeah,
And the online community is something.
it definitely. So I would say multiplayer online and has its perks,
hmm
but then there's also certain problems that I've noticed
hmm
with the gaming community. And that's how certain players, treat each other.
Yeah.
Like if you don't play well, people like to bash you or say mean things to you.
Yeah.
Like, you have any experience from that?
Oh, definitely. When you first start playing, it's like the matchmaking system puts you with players that are your skill level most of the time. And then when you get like higher up the ranks, you start to play with more competitive people.
Right.
And so I remember when I always play with my friends because playing by yourself is kind of boring, but all of my friends are higher, like ELO or higher level than me. So when I play with them and I mess up, it's always like, oh my God, go kill yourself, go delete League, throw out your computer,
Yeah.
like all this stuff. And like, because I didn't like heal them.
I've definitely experienced that, and that's like with a lot of competitive multiplayer games where you can talk to each other. There's like always people who like troll, even if you
Mhm.
don't do anything wrong. It's
Right.
just they'll try to attack you in certain aspects.
Right.
So it's like I said, it has its perks, and then there's certain problems that do need to be addressed. And I do know that League, for example, definitely does try to like limit the interaction with certain players, and they'll
Yeah.
set certain rules.
hmm
So that's good, and I do think that should be like implemented in a lot of more games.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I know, like League is so like it's like the most popular like MOBA, which is like the genre like right now, and they do like the best they can to try to limit the hate speech and all that stuff. Like you can mute them, you can report them. Like I know default, like if somebody swears or something, it comes up blocked. But then like because they can't block your speech, you can change it so that you can actually see what they're saying, and that's not something you should ever do. I mean, like people just get so angry in games, and like I feel like it always inhibits their ability to win. Like I feel like whenever I'm in a game and my team is always flaming each other, I feel like we always lose more.
Yeah, and they do say that like it's you win easier when you're calmer.
Yeah.
But like when you start getting hype and start screaming and cussing at your teammates angrily,
Mhm.
it kind of like stops you from winning. Because
Yeah.
then you get so distracted about what everybody else is doing and then not sticking to task.
Right.
But how do you feel about the graphic changes now? Everything looks more realistic.
Oh yeah, definitely. Atari to Xbox, like when games first came out, it was like what's it called, 8-bit, so you could feel like the pixels.
Right.
Like it was all like little squares, and now it's like it looks like a movie. Like I remember I was playing Skyrim or something like that, and my mom was like, "What movie is this?" And I was like, "It's not a movie. I'm playing a game."
Yeah.
And then she complains that her head hurts. But it's like it's just like the graphic changes are so like real, and then like not just like graphics what you see, but like also what you do with like motion controls. Like started out with like I guess like the Wii or whatever,
Right.
and now it's like Nintendo Switch.
So like there's multiple types of graphics, like realism, and then you have like cartoony. So like which
Mhm.
ones do you like the most?
Um, I always play like RPG games, so like games that are more focused on story than like fighting.
Right.
So I guess I would like to watch it. I mean, play it as if I was watching a movie. So I like the more realistic version. Like if you ever played like The Witcher or like
Yeah.
Skyrim, kind of like the Elder Scrolls Online. Just games with realistic things, and then like kind of like indie games too. Like if sometimes I'll just feel nostalgic and want to go back to the roots and play stuff like Mario or like I don't know, indie games like that. Legend of Zelda.
See, I play a lot of strategy games, so
Mhm.
like the way the graphics look, it doesn't technically have to be realistic. Like I'll play like a game called Civilization, and it's basically like a city building type game, and
Mhm.
basically you take over a society or culture or whatever,
Mhm.
and you found your city in like the ancient era, and then like you work your way up,
Mhm.
to like the modern era and then beyond. And like that's like my favorite genre is strategy. Like that's all I ever play.
Yeah.
And then I'll play like RPGs or stuff like that, or like sports games. That's like
Yeah.
another thing that I play like tons of.
Yeah. Has I know the game you're talking about, Civilization. I know, like it's really historical.
Yes.
Has it taught you anything?
Honestly, it's taught me more history than like my history class. Like like when I go into history class, like I know a lot of the stuff that they're talking about.
Yeah.
Just because I played with the different, civs or whatever. That's what they call them in the game. So like if you played with the Roman civ or Greek or they got England and stuff like that. Like they
Mhm.
have tons of them, and
Right.
like they'll like leave historic little pieces in the game.
Yeah.
And that's basically like where I get a lot of my history from, and also documentaries too.
Right. So I remember earlier on the show we were talking about representation in movies. So representation in games. I know in Civilization, like the characters like from the different like places like Egypt, England, well I guess England is like France, Spain, like they actually speak their language.
Yeah, and that was also very interesting because like a lot of games they wouldn't like add that in there, even in the movies. You
Yeah.
know, like they'll have them speak English,
Right.
but in the game they have them at least like in a certain clip speak
Yeah.
their own actual language, which is very interesting to me.
Right. Like I was watching a video of it and it was like declarations of war and
Oh yeah,
I was watching somebody like give a declaration of war and he was speaking in Arabic and I was like I understood it but it was just like there were subtitles. I didn't really understand what he was saying completely. There were subtitles and I was like it made me like want to play the game. Like honestly just that little element made me
Mhm.
want to like buy it for like $60 or whatever.
honestly, I don't even know when I came across it, but I knew like as soon as I realized that it was about playing again with certain civilizations and stuff, and then starting from the ancient era to now. Like that just I don't know, it piqued my interest. And then it was strategy. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
love strategy games, like I said. So I just went right to it.
So
How do you feel about storyline characters and development? That's a big thing in games.
yeah, definitely. Like when games first came out, the like story was like thrown to the side. Like you needed like graphics, you needed like things to do. You needed people to punch. Like
Right.
now people are looking for like I already told you like I love RPGs, story-based games. So I think the story like I've definitely played games where I talk to my friends and they're like, "What book is that?" I'm like, "It's a game." Like say games are just everything.
Yeah.
It's like the lore in League of Legends is like one of the best elements in it. Like I'll tell my friends like, "Oh, there's this character who like went into the desert and like her horse died and she got all these powers and her brother's like the king and like they're like, "Oh, wow. Like what book?" And I'm like, "It's League of Legends." And then they get like turned off by it.
Right.
But like honestly, if like I could tell them like it's a book and they would like it more than if I told them it was League of Legends because games just get so much hate.
Yeah, I like the story in games too. I hate when like certain games would rush the story.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
there's not like a lot of talk about the story. Like for example, I used to play a game called Destiny.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like when they first like marketed the game, they tried to like make it seem like there may be a sort of story into it. And that's why I got into it because
Mhm.
of what I saw in the trailers and what different devs said about it. But like once I started playing it, there's not like a real story to it. Now they said like in the second one that it's coming out soon, I think in September. They said
Mhm.
that they're gonna like make more stories for it, and you'll get to learn the lore better because like in the game it's very just shallow. Like you don't really
Yeah.
see much about the lore. You fight different enemies and that's it. But I like games that have a story and they try to express what their game's about.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, especially like even if it's games like Skyrim or World of Warcraft, where like there isn't one main story, well, I guess there is, but like you have like a bunch of little stories,
Right.
side quests that like they like I don't know, just as long as it has a story, and like don't market it with a story if it doesn't have a story.
Exactly. So yeah.
So I feel like games get a lot of hate,
Yeah, they do.
but like especially by like girlfriends, moms. Not to be misogynistic, but like I know my mom hates when I play games, and like girlfriends are always complaining. But I mean, guys definitely complain too.
Yeah.
But just like games get a lot of hate. I don't know why.
Well, I guess because it does have the ability to like take a lot of time from you. Like for example, my mother hates me playing my game so long that I don't ever talk to her. Like
Oh,
she'll
yeah.
walk in the house and like I'll be like, hey, and I don't talk to her until like I'm about to go to sleep. And I'm like, oh, how was your day? But she hates that. Like she wants me to come upstairs and pause the game and talk to her. And like a lot of games, specifically like League,
Yeah.
you
I know
can't
where
like
you're going.
you can't pause the game.
Oh my
I can't
God.
walk away. Like
Yeah.
you know.
My mom's like, take out the trash. I'm like, okay, after this game.
And she's like, "What do you mean after this game?" Like, I mean, like, I can't stop the game.
Right.
I don't want to lose.
Honest. And then when you do leave, it's like you get bashed all over again.
Yeah, and then like you'll have to run. Like I remember one time I was running and like I yanked the cord out of my computer, and so it just turned off. Like I'm like, oh come on now.
That's terrible.
And then like everybody was, all my friends I was playing online with, like, where did you go? We lost. I'm like, you idiot. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I mean, I kind of did, but I was like,
Blame someone else.
yeah.
When in doubt. Okay, so do you want to?
Yeah, let's get into our Angry Birds section, man.
All right.
So what makes you angry about certain games?
Well, one thing that makes me angry is, again, talking about League of Legends, is I told you when I first started playing, I was playing with like my level, but then I got bored of that, so I started playing with my friends who were much higher level. And like I get that like when you're playing with that level, they expect you to know certain things, but like when I just started, like you see my level is like level 3, and you're like level 30. So, like, when you tell me to get my HTQ 4273 RQ that backflip catapult, like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And then they just expect me to know. They're like, oh my God, why didn't you ping my river valley in the
I know,
center?
and that's like one thing I always
like,
mess
what?
up in. Like, I'll forget that a champion was like hiding somewhere, and I didn't ping it. And I'm like, well, shouldn't you know? That's your lane, you know?
Right.
And they're like, oh, you didn't tell me. You're like,
Right.
all right, dude, calm down.
I just don't like when people expect you to know something. They're like, get QSS. And I'm like, what the
Right,
heck is
well-
QSS? And they're like, oh my God, you're such a noob. And instead of telling me what they want me to do, they spend the next 10 minutes telling me how much of a noob I am. And then I never get QSS because
Right.
I don't know what QSS is. And I can't like stop to look it up because we're in the middle of a game. But instead of them just telling me, I have to sit here and like play like a game of Guess Who and like look through all my items and look through my stats to find out what QSS can possibly mean. And by the time I find out, it's like 50 minutes in and we already lost.
Right. I
Okay,
think-
what
think
makes you angry?
something that makes me like very angry, and like if you ever played any sports game like 2K,
Mm-hmm.
basically, especially in 2K, they'll just reskin the game. Like they'll add different graphics, and then they'll add like a shot meter, and then that's it. Like there's nothing else. The game's still the same glitches, and like games like that every year they'll try to market it as something new, and they don't
Right.
change it. Like it makes me angry because you waste like $60 or more if you want like extra stuff in it, and they always say like buying or pre-ordering and getting extra content is better, and you kind of fall for the hype. But
Yeah.
then when you play the game, it's the same thing as last year,
Right.
And that I don't like that.
That's kind of why I stopped playing Pokemon. Honestly, like it just started becoming really tedious and boring. But yeah, a lot of games are like that. It's kind of annoying. They're kind of just selling you the same thing. Like
Yeah.
WWE.
Oh yeah,
uh,
definitely. I like WWE because like you can make your own like wrestler in this and that.
I've
and,
never
like,
played it, so
I used to make like crazy looking characters.
that's interesting. I mean, definitely valid arguments to make.
All right. Well, like most of us, the gamer me is still strong. But now it's time to move on to our final segment. Join us after this short break where we will interview Gianna Marie, singer, dancer, and instrumentalist, and many more. This is Mark and Hadi on WPPM 106.5, People Power Lunch Hour. Youth Takeover. Stick around.
Welcome back to WPPM 106.5 People Power Lunch Hour, Youth Takeover Edition. You're listening to Hattie and Mark. It's been a great show so far. Now we have one last guest who's going to wrap up our show. She is a singer, dancer, drummer, and many more, with lots of talent to fill up our studio. Please give a warm welcome to Gianna Marie Matthews.
Hi.
Hey,
Hi, Gianna.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So I want to start off with a question. How long have you been interested in singing or music?
Well, like my whole life has just been music. Like my parents, my grandparents on both sides, they've all just been interested in music. And I know a lot of people say this, like, oh, I've been singing since I was 2, or I've been singing since I was 5, but I actually have, because my parents, they just wanted to start me early, so I knew what I was doing. And when it came to being second nature, it was just there, and it was just easier to do when it came down to the time, and everything just came easier to me when I started early. So,
Right.
So what inspired you to pursue singing?
well, like I said, my whole family is music, so I don't think anybody has been more surrounded with music than I have, because with my dad being a professional drummer, being in a bunch of bands, drum lines, all of that, and my grandmother on my mom's side plays instruments, and my grandparents, both of them, they sing. My aunt sings. All my whole family, they're just all into music. So it kind of, not that I had no choice or it wasn't an obligation, but it was kind of just something in me that like pushed me to do it.
Right.
You know.
So you're saying that you were basically like nurtured into
Yeah.
like singing
It
and
was just,
music.
yeah, it was just there. Like, I grew up with it. When I was in my mom's stomach, they'd play jazz to put me to sleep. So like, it was just like,
Okay.
I knew that it was just there for me, and I kind of it would have been a crime if I didn't, because
Right.
I had to continue it on with what my parents were doing, and then my generation, and then I'm gonna continue it down with my kids and stuff. So.
Okay.
So what obstacles have you faced on your journey to becoming such a talented singer?
I've actually got it pretty easy, like with obstacles and stuff, but mainly my biggest obstacle is myself. Just like laziness and not wanting to practice, and like instead of going out with my friends, I'd have to stay in and practice. Like any teenager, they wouldn't like that. Like, you're
Yeah.
like, ugh, now I have to stay inside practice instead of I can go out with my friends, have fun. But I mean, I just had to push myself, and it's tedious sometimes
Right.
having to
Yeah.
push myself. But luckily, my parents are there too to push me when I don't want to be pushed.
Yeah.
So, but I take it pretty easy. So,
Okay.
That's pretty good.
So like when it comes to like singing, like you've gotten used to like singing publicly now.
yeah, I started like lessons when I was 5, and I started performing more when I was like probably like the next year. So, when I first started performing, I don't really get nervous. Really, like I get nervous, but it's not to the point where I'm like, oh no, like am I gonna mess up or something? It's just there, like I
Mhm.
know.
It's like a certain feeling.
Yeah, and
you know?
especially if you practice enough, then you'll be like, you'll be fine if you practice and you work. And like I said, it comes as second nature, so it makes it easier to do.
So what's it like, being a professional singer in high school now?
Well, my school, Kappa, it's all surrounded with music and talents and stuff, and everybody there, it's really competitive. So if you don't keep up with everybody else, you'll fall behind, and you don't want that. And also, people there, they push you too. Like they push you to go and get better because they don't want to see you fail either. So it's like they're like my family. So I have my parents pushing me, and then I have them pushing me. So like I said, I get it pretty easy with school and everything.
So like with your peers, is it like you say it's like competition or whatever, like trying to continue
Yeah.
to be the best? So is it hard to deal with all the different elements?
Like when I first started there, it was like nerve-wracking
Right.
because you see like the competition you have, even just from freshman to sophomore, you see the difference, and freshman to junior, freshman to senior, like you see it. And I was just a freshman, just now learning this the routine that they had, and like all their practice and how much they practice. But with them, seeing that, I realized that I had to push harder and like get to their level just to succeed in that school, because my school, a lot of people came from there, like Boys to Men, another person, Jasmine Sullivan, like
Okay.
they all came from there, and it's just a really high standard to meet.
Yeah.
And you just have to like push yourself, and when you have people pushing you too, it makes it really easy, and it makes it comfortable too. So
All right.
Do you think you said you've been singing since you were 5, right? Do you think like that experience has helped you?
yeah, because like I said, with the second nature,
Yeah.
things come easier. And I've been singing and I've been playing since I was 5 too, like playing piano
Yeah.
and drums too, because I kind of like my dad, he was kind of there. But yeah, it made it easier just to know that I came from younger, and I grew up with it, and just the practice and all the working hard, and the practice sessions and everything that I went through, it just made it, easier.
Okay.
What do you think is your favorite performance?
I've had a pretty amazing gigs that I've had to do, like from singing the national anthem for boxing matches at the Sugar House Casino, and I'm in like the Philadelphia Girls Choir and my school choir and singing at the Kimmel Center and stuff like all that. But honestly, my favorite performance would be a block party that my church did actually, and it was just fun because I had my own band, which my father was the drummer, obviously, and I felt in control. Like I knew what I was doing, and I like to serve the Lord so it just felt good all in
Yeah.
all.
That's good. So, you're religious,
Yeah, I'm religious. I'm Christian.
Christian.
hmm
How has that like been along your life?
Well, being Christian made it easier
Mhm.
because knowing that God was by my side and He was
Mhm.
there to help me, and just praying before everything just relieved a lot of nerves. I think that's why I don't really get nervous, because when I pray, it makes it easier, and He's just telling you like it's gonna be okay, you're good, you're gonna get this, you're fine, like that. So
I definitely get that though, because I was kind of raised like that, and my mom, like, I'm not extremely religious person,
Yeah.
but I always pray like when I'm like really nervous.
Yeah, it just
Like, it does help.
yeah, it brings like a calmness, sense
Yeah.
of calm stuff. And my family is religious too. Like my parents on my mom's side, my parents on my dad's side, I grew up in church. And I still go to church every Sunday too. So like I don't just like drop it because I'm getting older and I can make
Yeah.
decisions by myself now. So
I'm sure that made your parents proud.
yeah.
So, what type of tips would you give to other singers?
Well, one, stay focused and don't get distracted by little things like boys and like
Mm-hmm.
and also keep your schoolwork at the top priority with everything. Keep it all even. Keep it like all at one level. All the stuff that's most important, keep it at the top, and then the rest of it comes after. Take a back seat and just like get good at what you're working for, and then the rest comes after.
So prioritize.
Yeah, prioritize. We know how to prioritize too.
Yeah.
My dad helps me with that too. Like I'm still I'm getting there because, like I said, I'm a teenager.
Yeah.
But I'm getting there with priorities and stuff. So.
Those type of tips kind of like work for everybody who's trying to like you know do something.
Yeah, if you're
more.
trying to get higher
Mhm.
in life, you got to know what to put first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely that's like with my cousin because he's like extremely tall. He's like 7 foot now.
Oh,
And so
gosh.
like all the different sponsors and stuff and colleges are pulling him to join them and this and that.
Yeah.
And so like I remember when I was talking to him, he was like, I have this problem with just trying to like stay focused, because like there's so many different things pulling him, like friends. And he told me like some of the hardest things he had to deal with was like prioritizing with schoolwork and then being out after school with friends and
Yeah.
girlfriends and this and that, and so I guess those tips like he started applying to himself. So now he's kind of like getting better opportunities.
Yeah,
he's
when you
got
focus more.
sponsored by Nike now, and
Oh,
he's
wow.
yeah he's trying to go to like a college. I forgot what it was called though. But, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm planning on, I want to go to college. I definitely want to keep pursuing my music.
Do you know what
and
college?
My main goal is Juilliard.
Oh.
Like, even though I'm a singer, I'm like piano is still up there. So Juilliard, I would go there for piano, classical piano. Juilliard or University of Arts in Philadelphia, because kind of stay close to home.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Where's Juilliard?
New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know it. So, do you think you could give us a little
Sure.
do re mi?
Sorry. I'm gonna be singing. Have you ever seen the musical Les Miserables?
Yeah.
Yeah. On my own, I'll just sing a little portion from there.
Okay.
Love that song. Okay.
Okay. And I know it's only in my mind that I'm talking to myself and not to him. And although I know that he is blind, still I say there's a way for us. I love him, but when the night is over, he's gone. The river's just a river. Without me, his world will go on turning. A world that's full of happiness that I have never known. I love him. I love him. I
Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
That
Thank
was
you.
great. I love it.
Thank you.
That was so great.
Thank you.
So where can people see more stuff like that?
Well, I have a YouTube channel. My parents' Facebook, Anthony Matthews or Leah Matthews on Facebook. You can go to my Instagram, gianna.mario2. And, well, yeah, that's pretty much it. My parents mostly post the videos of me singing and stuff, but I'm going to start adding more. So, yeah.
Definitely. That was great. I
Thank
know
you.
people that would pay to see that.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
would definitely.
Yeah,
Thank
great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
You
you so
too.
much for coming.
Thank you.
So that concludes our special edition of People Power Lunch Hour Youth Takeover. Thanks for listening, and remember you can always come back to see more of the youth in October, where our show Peer Through Philly will be premiering. Special thanks to Kenneth and Nasir for coming, and as well as Gianna. Also a big thank you to Latoya and Sergio, our producers, Robin, our camerawoman, and also to Ariel, our guide, and Vanessa, the radio expert. Remember, you can always tune in to our station at any time every Wednesday for more People Power Lunch Hour. Don't forget to check out our show, which is on channel 66, 966 on Comcast, or on channel 29 or channel 30 on Verizon. It's called Peer Through Philly. This has been Mark and Hadi. Thank you for viewing, and have a great afternoon.